Welcome to the Friday Everyday Podcast. This is where we share and explore how to design a thriving business and lifestyle so that we can live the lives we've always wanted right now.
It's where strategy meets energy work. It's where we'll unpack how to build a business that works for you and we'll make it tangible and actionable. I'm Jodi and an online business coach, and my mission is to help you grow and scale your online business to create time freedom so that you can spend more time doing the things you love with the people you love.
And I'm Brian DeCastro. As a holistic health practitioner and Reiki master, my part in this mission is to provide self-care support and spiritual guidance to business owners who are shifting to align with their next level way of being.
So come and join us here where every day feels like Friday and the vibe is fun, inspiring, and real.
Just sit back, relax, and enjoy. This moment is yours and you've earned it.
This is the Friday Everyday Podcast. Welcome, you guys, to the Friday Everyday Podcast. Today is episode number 5, and we are talking about all things planning and productivity and how you can gamify it so that you can live the business and the life that you want. I'm so excited to dive into this. Brian has been working hard on some new tools and stuff to help all of our clients gamify their business and their life so that we can really get to that Friday Everyday feeling. So, Brian, let's jump right in.
Yeah, we probably notice this from time to time as well, and I've been noticing it recently. And sometimes things, even if things are going well, like sometimes they feel a little stagnant or kind of like, just ordinary, whatever. Which in business they often say, like, if your business activity, if everything's boring and without any drama, then that's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
That means it's consistent and you're executing on those not super sexy tasks that actually produce results, right? But the context of this came from more of a lifestyle and health and lifestyle design space,
Yeah.
where I support a lot of the members in our space. So I recently decided to engage in a little bit of a game myself recently, just with mostly my health and lifestyle tasks. But this stuff will drip; it'll carry over into your business, right? Because you're becoming. We use the word becoming, but in a sense, we're also just activating a part of you that already exists.
Yeah.
That is the one that operates at this different standard, a different level, in order to produce a different experience in your business and your life, right? So, sorry, I'm looking over there because the dog's messing around with the garbage. So yeah, so I just started another one recently. It's an upgrade of what I've done in the past, but we can share a bit of what this actually looks like and
Yeah.
how listeners can experiment with this and play with this in their own situation.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's backtrack a bit because, as everybody knows, you and I have both come from fitness background where, incorporating all the fitness type of activities, whether it is a full-blown strength training workout, whether it is some mobility work, whether it's going for a walk, also including the nutrition side of things, meal prep and planning and all of that stuff. Like, these are things we've been talking about for years and years and years for ourselves, but also with our clients, right? And the biggest trick in personal training is actually not about teaching people how to lift weights. It's more about teaching people how to implement the habits that are going to help them get to where they want to be and help them become the person who automatically goes for the walk every single day, who automatically chooses, the better foods and stuff like that. And so one of the things that I've actually learned from you over the years is that you've had multiple different kind of systems to help you stay on track. And at some times you've gotten totally jacked using these kinds of protocols. And maybe you can just start by sharing a little bit about, I don't know how many years ago it is now, 4 or 5, and you got totally ripped and you followed one of these kind of, gamified systems. Maybe you can start with that and tell us a little bit about how that worked and what happened.
Yes, for sure. Early COVID times. A friend of mine had an idea of what he was going to do with his coaching program and wanted to launch a beta test for some of the tools he had.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was based on things he already does and things he's had already working for him. And I had not experienced it like this before, where he had a score sheet that in the very beginning it was like super intense because we had to score up at the end of the day by 9 p.m.
Yeah.
and submit our scores in the drive. And if we didn't, he would follow up just to make sure that we were on in the program and participating, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the week, when we had our weekly call, there was a leaderboard that showed our scores for the week,
Love a good leaderboard.
and it was competitive. It was all men on the call, so it lit up in a sort of a masculine competitive type of atmosphere, which tends to make us really sort of push, right? So, but some of the things that were on that game sheet included just simple things like hydration and getting to sleep and getting 6 to 8 hours of quality sleep a night.
Yeah.
And and getting in our movement and our exercise and what we were doing for our fueling strategy and stuff, like just checking off some very simple things, not overcomplicating it, but they're putting numbers to these things. So by the end of the day, it's and it was like a one or zero. It's like either we did it or we didn't do it. That's how it was set up at the time.
Okay.
And it really stepped up the intensity, the excitement, and the fun around making changes or tightening up on the things that we know we can benefit from doing already, right?
Mhm.
Um,
So,
as it kept going, we started to refine and also tighten up the standards on what we're doing. So at the very beginning, my standard might have been hydrating every day, I can't even get the water in, right? But eventually, we got into the more details of some of the other things that would actually shift and change our body composition and stuff. And in that time, I blew a ton of body fat, and my body was at I didn't see my body like that in ages, but also it was the same time where I felt the confidence and the strength and the power to launch my first retreat. So it did affect my business as well.
that's such a good one. There's so many tangents that I want to go on right now because there's so many components of this. It's not just about the scoring, it's about the leaderboard, which for me, even though this is more of a masculine sort of idea, for me, that takes me back to my sales days when I was working corporate fitness, and it actually gets me really excited. Like I love being in a leaderboard and I love being able to see like what everyone's up to and what they're doing every day. Like that for me is super fun. So there's that component. There's the community aspect of it, of you guys all being in it together. Like there's so much going on here. And so, this week, as you and I are prepping to do some new program launch, we've been talking about some different tools and how to support the community and all of that stuff. And so you've really taken this idea and run with it and made it your own. So do you want to share a little bit more, maybe not the specifics if you don't want to, but share whatever you feel comfortable about the new tool that you've created and how we're using that to help everybody actually implement all the lifestyle things that they need to do in order to get the work done.
Yeah. I think a little disclaimer with this type of stuff too is like these are just tools, right? And the first time you encounter it, maybe the person that's presenting it to you or the book that you read it in or whatever it is, wherever you're retrieving this concept from, it wouldn't hurt to just follow it exactly as it's laid out, right?
Yeah.
Although that system was what worked for that author or that creator and perhaps their clients, and there's probably some universal things that are gonna naturally work anyways. I'm a big fan of, and when I used to mentor trainers and develop students in the fitness industry, I used to teach them systems that I did that worked for me and worked for my clients and my system, my business. But I say, take this, learn from it, and make it your own, build from it, modify it as things go, right? So that's one thing to share. And the other thing is, um, sometimes these types of tools, we might only use them for a certain amount of time um, to initiate or activate just something new and interesting and exciting when we're trying to up level things in our business, right? So we might be going sometimes at the very beginning at a pace that is new, but it may not be a like what you're trying to fall back into is something that is the sustainable long term, but
Yeah.
at another level, right? So
Yeah.
recently, when I went back into creating a new one, because we want to introduce this in our community using my similar system of the past of the 10-day reboot, I thought about what does the 10-day reboot look in a
Okay,
3.0?
wait. We need to talk about that because I know what you mean, but I don't know if everybody who's listening is going to know what you mean. So, can you share just quickly what the 10-day reboot is, and then let's continue.
Yeah, this what's interesting. The story about this is interesting. Is firstly a lot of people know that one of the things that I did to learn meditation was I did Vipassana meditation, which was 10 days of just meditating full time, taking in a little bit of content and living a certain lifestyle for 10 days, completely immersed on this retreat, like this meditation like grounds, right? So I use the concept of the 10 days, observing what happened over the course of those days to apply it to lifestyle change,
Hmm.
right? And what I noticed at the time I was finding that I was self-medicating, and this is one of those signs of when we might want to do this, right?
Okay.
Self-medicating with caffeine,
Okay.
sugar, and I noticed that there was patterns to my day that were now becoming suboptimal, right? And taking me on a different path that was very stuck and stagnant and not producing, right? So
Ah,
I thought to myself, what if I came off the caffeine and sugar for 10 days? What would I notice? Right? Because at this point, I was kind of getting, I was getting addicted to around like two or three a day, which I've heard people, I've had clients that have drank 6 cups a day, right? But
yeah.
for me, I just kind of took notice that I got to make some changes here. I feel like I'm very dependent on this, right?
Yeah.
So I decided to do this coffee thing for 10 days. And by day 3 or 4, I was already in a completely different space. There's a little bit of like sort of withdrawal and detoxing from that, which I was aware of.
Yeah.
Tiredness. I napped instead of ate sugar or had coffee, and I like adjusted and reset my system, right? And then the next level was after the 10 days, there was some momentum going, and I was like, what if I went 40 days, right? And it changed
Yeah.
a lot of things over that course of time. So my point being, I created this 10-day reboot because I wanted new clients at the time to realize that you don't have to wait till Monday. You don't have to wait till
Yeah.
after Labor Day in September. You don't have to wait till January 1st
Yeah.
to just make a decision and start changing things. I created this idea of like fuck Monday. Like let's start
Yeah.
now. Let's start tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? So what I
And
do when they come on, I give them a 10-day reboot idea. So they take all they were gonna do was change one thing, one obvious thing for 10 days that they felt like lost control over, whether it be getting to bed on time or hydrating or just moving their body every day. Just one thing. That's it. I don't care what else you do. Just to focus on the one thing because it's like training your 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 brain and your body to do something different and stick to it to see the change and the shift, right? That's where the idea of the reboot came from.
yeah, and I think it's really important because I've been through this 10-day review. We've done a bunch of them over the years.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the important part about it that we need to mention is that is one thing, but it's also something that could be seemingly small.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a 2 hour long full on workout. Like it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be that. It doesn't have to be I'm running for 45 minutes. It doesn't have to be big like that. It can literally be like I'm going to do a 5 minute meditation every day for 10 minutes or
Yeah.
for 10 days. And that's sufficient because the point is the repetition. The point is that, and we talk about this, it's the name of our program, Becoming the CEO. And we
Mm.
talk a lot about the person we are becoming. And whatever this, even if it's small step is, The point is who you are becoming as you do it consistently,
Yeah.
which at the end of the day is the key to achieving whatever you want in your health and fitness and also in your business consistency,
Yeah.
right? So who are we becoming? And it's something that could be really what you might think is small.
Yeah, yeah. I one thing we were guided to do with Tom was pick the one thing that also might be small, but that you haven't been doing that is also could potentially yield the highest result,
Yeah.
right? Like for example, sleep was a huge one with my training and wellness clients. Like after doing an assessment, I also create another tool where they can fill out a form that covers a bunch of different categories that gives a score and says, based on your scores, this like sleep is probably the number one thing to do right now. And, if you could find a way to get to bed before 11 p.m., 10 days in a row, I think a lot of things will change. And this actually happened with somebody. She was already starting to like change her snacking habits. Her relationship with her kids, because everyone was online and stuff. So, um, everyone was logging on, at 8:30 in the morning. But prior to that, there was a lot of like, fuss and everything. She said her relationship with her family had improved.
Mm.
She started losing body weight 4 days in, right? Because the snacking, the stuff that was changing, and she was recovering better because she's finding a way to get to bed before 10:30 at night. So yeah, it starts with something super simple. I wanted to show people too that like we I wrote an article once called Your excuses are valid. Your excuses are valid. But meaning that yes, you are experiencing something. Understand that it's impacting you and there's reality going on around you.
Yeah.
However, we can't use those to prevent us from moving forward, right?
I once had a really great conversation with Laura Jackson, who is an amazing mindset coach, and she's also huge in the health and fitness industry. She owns Fit Chick. She's incredible. And we were talking about, habits and implementation and all of that kind of stuff. And we were talking about excuses. And she said, one question people can ask themselves is, do I like my excuse?
Hmm.
And so if your excuse is my kid is sick and I have to go pick them up from school and that's why I didn't get my workout in, like, okay, maybe you like that excuse and that's okay. Like you're right. So you don't have to beat yourself up over it and you don't have to be mad about it and you don't have to be anything. It's like, this is what had to happen and it had to happen now. It couldn't happen 3 hours from now.
Yeah.
Right. So do I like the reason? Do I like the reason instead of excuse? Do I like the reason why I didn't do what I was supposed to do when I was supposed to do it? And
Yeah.
if your answer is yes, I like the reason, then you can decide to do it at a different time or a different day or whatever. If you don't like the reason, then you should probably do the thing.
Yeah.
So just a little side note, because I thought that was such a powerful question to ask.
Yeah, I also something that I learned when I was in the Vipassana experience was everyone was all in the very beginning. Nobody went missing until probably the fifth, because you're there of your own free will, right? So,
Right.
but I know some people were really, if I look around, open my eyes and look around, there's a lot of people some people were really struggling by around day five,
Yeah.
day six, getting close to a week. And the interesting thing about this, and it could be something as simple as getting to bed on time or quitting sugar for 10 days or drinking water. It just turns up the volume on your self-awareness.
Yeah.
And that's when some stuff starts to surface. That's why
Yeah.
sometimes I say maybe just only choose one thing because you
Yeah.
know what's going to come up, right?
Yeah.
And the way your old version of yourself, your 1.0 version, you're the one that wants to be safe and be comfortable and stuff, is going to start kicking and fussing a little bit.
Hmm.
And if you're not ready for that, or if you're not prepared for that in some way or expecting it, it could really throw the rails off. I found one of my milestones for my 10-day reboot is basically day three. Like I
Yeah.
congratulate them for getting
Remember this.
three, because if that thing they're addicted to or defaulting to is so strong, you may not make it 3 days and
Yeah. And this is
find a way. you'll find a way to screw it up.
Yeah, this is where you start playing those games with yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
if you promised yourself that you were going to do your 5 minute meditation for 3 days in a row and you did it, then on day four, this is where you start going, well, I'm tired. I'm gonna sleep in. I'm gonna do it later. And you start like playing all those games, right? So
Mhm.
I remember this when we did, I don't know, one of them over the years, where that day three or four was the mind messing with you, trying to tell you, go back and do the old thing. And then you had to be like, no,
Yeah.
doing whatever it is that I've committed to, and you got to keep going. So, yeah, that's definitely. And then you also have another point at day seven as well that you talk about.
Yeah, at day seven, you start to become aware or notice like a shift, right? And I what I like about 10 days is we tend to, you know, we tend to be boxed in the calendar setup. And I found this was big time when I was competing in powerlifting. I was trying to build my workout programs or my microcycle in a 7 day period,
Mhm.
right? Which naturally that tends to work for most people, but I found that sometimes I don't always feel amazing on Monday or Tuesday when I'm supposed to be bench pressing or something. Sometimes I don't always feel the same way, right? So
Yeah,
someone introduced an idea of maybe do a 10 or 14-day microcycle where it's on a pattern where it rotates and you're not always squatting on the exact same day, right? But it's more
yeah,
of it's a different kind of pattern that's more adjusted to your drug-free body that is also dealing with real life shit, right? So
yeah,
um so it's going to 10 days pushes a little bit more into a weekend and dealing with different external sort of things that come up, right? So
yeah.
that's what I found was helpful. And then when you move into like a 40-day run of something, that's when you really start to encounter like life stepping
Yeah.
into things, right?
Yeah, I love this. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the actual tool itself, and maybe you can share even just the categories, because one of the things that you and I talk about all the time when it comes to lifestyle stuff is that, it includes all the pieces. It's not just the health and fitness, it's the relationships, it's your relationship with yourself, with your family, with your friends, with all that stuff. So, can you go through the categories that you've included in this tool to help people kind of score up and see where they're at?
Yes, as an example, I'll give one example of one of the things I'm working on right now is um, the first one is just your movement practice, right? Your exercise, the human body is designed to move. Some sort of exercise will help. I tell people it clears like probably 80% of your emotional stuff in the morning if you go for a walk before you even get to talking about what's stressing you out, right? So movement is a huge part of it. So some sort of movement, exercise, and you would decide. But if it was your very first time and I coached you in this or something, I would go, here's an example of what you would classify as a 1, 2, or 3 point effort for the day, right? Um,
Yeah.
and in the movement space, it would be maybe getting your daily walk would get you a 1, right? Daily walk plus, an extra stretch, you know, or daily walk plus an intense workout with a stretch or something could bring you up to a 2 or a 3, right? Whatever it is that causes you to put in a little bit more effort, a little bit more focus,
You get a
will
sweat on.
bring you up to the next level, right? So with fueling, for example, with your diet, it might be maybe you're aiming at consuming a certain amount of calories that fits your goals. If you're trying to lose weight, there's got to be some kind of deficit of some kind, but also if you want to be healthy, there's also got to be choices in there that you're going to measure up against, right? So you decide for yourself what is a 1, 2, or 3, and 3 is more of like the next level version of you, the standard you want to live at, right?
Mm.
So you're going to make it challenging to hit a 3 sometimes, right? It takes extra thought, extra effort, extra anticipating the day. And I
Yeah.
found that was already happening with me, even just with the water, right? Like, damn, my points are low. I gotta finish drinking my water.
Yeah.
Like it just you start to dial into it more. Another one I like to use is your inner work. So whether you're getting some time for introspection, meditation, prayer, journaling, something that has you go into your own personal, awareness. It could include your what else? It could include putting aside time to just like do like a sort of a resting meditation, lying down, right? Just sort of regenerating a little bit or something. Just something that handles like yourself outside of the doing, right? And then there's the outer work, right? It could be um, reaching out into the community, spending time with the people in your inner circle. So your family members, your kids, close friends, working out in that space, right, around loved ones. And also you can expand out further into the outer space of, outreach in your business or even just your digital space. Like, what are you putting out into your digital space as well, too, but being intentional about it, right? So you would decide what the standard is, one, two, or three to score up on. And even just 3 days in, you're going to notice a difference if you're trying to gun for, like an 80% or more. You're going to
Yeah.
notice a shift in what you're up to, how it feels, and the outcomes that happen by the end of the week.
Yeah. I think one thing that really stands out for me and it comes up because our so many of the people in our world, whether they're in our community, whether they're our clients, so many people struggle to do the self-care piece, to take care of their relationships. So many people are like so focused on their work and they're so focused on running around and doing the day to day and all of that stuff that they're not actually taking the time to spend on themselves or with their partner, friends, family, kids, whoever it is. And it's just that extra piece that I think most people don't focus on, don't talk about enough. Like we talk about health and fitness all the time. You hear it all the time. You hear about meal prep. You hear about 3 days a week in the gym, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like the relationship piece gets kind of brushed over a lot. And so I love that this tool has that included where you can say, yeah, I spent half an hour reading to my kid tonight.
Yeah.
That makes me a 3 today,
Yeah.
right? Or um, I spent I had a chance to have date night or to
Yeah.
sit down and have dinner with the family or to go out and meet my girlfriends for a drink or whatever it is, right? So I don't know. I think this one's just such an important one. And I love that it gets included. And I think a lot of people when they go to score themselves up would realize, wow, I'm really not doing this piece.
Yeah.
Even if the rest is in place, it's like this one falls by the wayside. And I just think it's so key to have included in the structure so that people can really start to fill their cups more, which will actually make them better in all the rest of their areas.
Yeah, I found what was significant. I think in that first score sheet we had, there was something about, um, points you can get, um, having meaningful connection with your partner, meaningful connections with your kids or even your pets,
Yeah.
right? Um, just really being intentional and present, right? And it doesn't have to be for that long. Like when I did a little course at this that was offered at the school on parenting, and they said, to be honest with you, like 15 to 10 minutes a day of really, sort of like quality time with your kid is quite often all they need
Yeah.
from you, right? You don't
And they
have
don't
to,
get a
yeah,
lot, don't get.
yeah, and you can't make up for that taking them off to Disney 6 months down the road and
Yeah, totally.
doing this big shebang and then coming back to this place again where you're not really connecting on a daily basis, right? So
Yeah.
it really made me really aware of even just in the family space, relationships, or just there was times where I was like, I still haven't had a meaningful connection or a strategic conversation, right? And you just go in through your Facebook group or whatever and go, I'm just going to hit somebody up and just check in and see how they're doing, right? And it ends up becoming this back and forth, this really fulfilling,
Yeah.
Well, and then, wow, thanks for reaching out. That was, it was amazing to hear from you. I was actually just thinking about you the other day and,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And that's a huge, thing to remember with this stuff because in our businesses, we could get really buried in the doing of our business
Yeah.
and forget that we're actually humans and we're also spiritual beings as well that thrive on this type of stuff, right?
Yeah. And I just want to like touch on the business side for a second because I actually did a quick video today about this, where one of the biggest mistakes that coaches, service providers, entrepreneurs as a whole make is that we try to pack so much into the hours that we actually have to work. And
Yeah.
it doesn't match, right? So the exercise is to have a quick look, like on a Friday, go back and look at your week, look at how many hours you actually got to work, right? Not including the hours where you're setting up your desk or you're getting your coffee or whatever. It's like, how many hours did you actually work?
Yeah.
And to look at your to-do list for the week and go, okay, what were the things I had planned to do? How long should each of them have taken? And I almost guarantee that when you look at it, the list of to dos is going to take way more time than what you actually have available.
Yeah.
And so when you're trying to fit a 30-hour week into the 15 or 18 or 20 or 24 hours that you actually have, this is where we start to scramble and force stuff and get stressed out and never finish anything and be behind or feel like we're behind all the time. And then we start letting things go in the personal side,
Yeah.
which often, at least from my experience and what I see, is the relationship stuff goes first. And you and I also talk about this a lot. And we know for ourselves, at least, that committing to the relationship piece first is what's going to help everything else work.
Yeah, yeah. We've also noticed too, like we could have been working in the same house all day, doing things together, out and about doing things. And then I slip off and take my son to hockey and then come back and it's like 10 o'clock at night and we're finally sitting on the couch and we realize we haven't really actually
Seeing each other.
right? We're
Yeah.
just hyper aware of it. It's something that's a priority for us. We're always aware of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate how common this is in relationships. Like things just
Yeah.
take like household stuff, errands, all these things just take priority over the one thing that created it in the first place, which was the initial relationship,
Yeah,
right?
usually. And like, and this is the part that we're so passionate about helping people change. We
Yeah.
really want everybody to be able to create a sustainable business where they can make whatever kind of money that they want without having to work in every single nook and cranny of their day, not on a call while they're in the car picking up their kid from school, not, taking phone calls or checking emails when you're out for dinner on the date night you haven't had in 6 months. Like, this is literally our why, right? We want people to live full lives. We want people to make the money that they want and to have the time freedom to do all the extras, to do the lifestyle stuff, to get in your workout without feeling guilty, to go out on date night, whatever it is. And so I don't know. This is a
Yeah.
powerful one. And I'm really excited for people to start using this tool that we're going to implement inside of Becoming the CEO in November, which is just a couple of days away. I really
Yeah.
can't wait for them to use it and see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Coming back to also the idea that we share about living the life you've always want to have right now. Like
Yeah.
what allows us to live that way right now is these little micro level changes you can make, right?
Yeah.
How many times have people said, "Oh man, I got to really get to the gym. I got to get back to this, whatever," and they're just saying it over and over again for months, right? But you can take one step forward, whatever it is, right? We just don't realize it's that accessible and that the benefit is going to be so much more than they think.
Yeah.
They we can often set ourselves up to almost fail basically by saying the standard is getting to the gym 3 times a week for an hour and a half, um, you know, and this with my diet and this with my sleep and this and then It's either like I'm not doing it or I'm doing all of it. And it's so overwhelming that
Yeah.
it's
Um,
one, too hard to stop, too hard to start, but also no way to measure the steps getting up to that standard. So um, doing it at these small micro levels that is possible. Like you do literally today, what you haven't done is maybe done it 3 days in a row, or
Yeah.
7 days in a row, or 10 days in a
Yeah.
row,
And
right?
that
So
momentum is just
that
a
momentum's
game
huge.
changer.
I found it, when I was teaching, when I was coaching young kids like young athletes and doing, agility drills with them and stuff, and you set out a ladder and you give them a pattern. And the main thing is it might not make them necessarily a better tennis player, other than the fact that, say, you're teaching the skill of telling your body what you want it to do, and allowing it to learn the pattern, right?
Mhm.
So when you go to the coach, they're doing the same thing with you, teaching you a technique that you got to sort of, like, you're breaking down programming basically of your body wanting to rush through the agility ladder and mess things up. Well, I just say slow down and let the speed come, right?
Right.
This is exactly, we could do this exact same thing in our lifestyle when we're changing
Yeah.
things in our lifestyle. It's just do this one little micro move, but repeat it over and over again so you can build the confidence and build the momentum and the certainty around, wow, I can change a lot of things in a very small pocket of time and
Yeah.
not be completely overwhelmed by it and set myself up to fail, right?
Yeah.
Stack all those things over time, then you start to see a massive change.
Absolutely. I love this so much. And I hope that while people are listening, they are thinking about what is the one thing that I could start doing today that I could do for 10 days in a row. And then when you get there, you can decide if you want to continue. But I'd love for everyone to think about this, even drop it below this video. Let us know what's the one thing that you can start doing today that you're going to commit to doing for 10 days in a row. And if you guys want some support around this, we are going to be running this 10-day reboot inside of Becoming the CEO, starting on Monday, November the 3rd. And if you happen to listen to this after the fact, go ahead and reach out to us anyways. We can get you set up with our 30-day free trial inside of Becoming the CEO, and we'll get you all sorted out with your own 10-day reboot.
So,
So before we go, any last words of wisdom for everybody who's listening today?
yeah, I think we've shared a lot of things, and I think one thing people can pull away with right now is ask themselves, um, what is my next step, knowing how easily accessible this is to me.
Yeah.
Secondly is what are the data points right now? If I were to look back in my last 3 days, whether it be lifestyle, business, or even just relationships, um, what is happening right now that is good, is suboptimal, whatever it is. Just take a moment to pause on that and just see what comes to the surface as far as the obvious next thing, or the thing that you can maybe nudge or create change around. And then what is the next obvious micro step? And I always tell people, when we start the reboot, we're starting in the next 48 hours. So I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to get all, crazy about overcomplicating it up. Next 48 hours. So what can you access in the next 48 hours to make these changes? So you don't have to, like, well, I can't start until I join the gym. I can't start until I do all this meal prep and all this, and research this diet. Or no, what do you have accessible to you in the next 48 hours that you can change and see this highest yielding outcome from just repeatedly doing it over and over again and evolving from there, building from there. So I think that's the main thing now, and just trust yourself, trust what's coming up right now. Trust what the move is to make, right? That you can gamify and put something, a score to, or something measurable to, so that you can give yourself the evidence that it's coming together.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I love this. I love this conversation. Thank you so much for bringing all of your expertise to this and all of your gamification. I think it's a really fun way to get people involved and get things rolling. And we totally know how hard it can be, and we just wanted to make it super easy. So thanks, Brian, for sharing all of that stuff. And looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with, what your one thing that you're going to do for 10 days is. Remember to drop it in the comments. And remember, we're starting the 10-day reboot inside of Becoming the CEO Monday, November the 3rd. If it is after that, then go ahead and reach out to us anyways. We will get you set up with your own 10-day reboot. And that's it for today. Have an amazing day, you guys.
All right, take care. Let's see you in the next session.
Bye.